Purple. Do you drink vodka? Do you like vodka? Yes, vodka. It's funny.
Yes, vodka, it's flashbang. Throwing a flashbang. Grenade out. Smoke.
Yeah.
I have 1 kilogram corn. CD film. No.
Oh yeah, I know.
1 kilo.
Пидорас.
1 kilo. I'm throwing a flashbang.
Maybe go A? No? Okay, I'm flashing.
Throwing a flashbang.
Курятник есть?
Курятники был.
Very nice. Go on spot. Double door.
Shut the fuck up, $1, kurwa. I planted the bomb. Check long, check me long, блядь.
Throwing a flashbang. I'm planted.
Иди просто стань на лонгу за камнем, за бочками. Чек. Yeah, I'm Russian simple $1.
You are Stalin.
Yeah, I'm Stalin, пиздец, now.
Yes, you Stalin пиздец.
Go B.
Yes, go drop, okay? Go. Let's go this way.
I have AVP, I wait, hey, for Jim.
You wait.
Yeah.
Flashbang. Good
Whoa, he pushing B, Dragon Lord, check.
Guys, in here.
Go.
Fuck.
Check $1. Wait, man, wait.
AWP. 2 AWP on B.
I'm throwing a flashbang.
Go. Boom.
Don't peek. Stay position. Stay, man. Юра гуль, пиздец, нахуй ты лезешь, блядь.
Да хуй там сработает такая хуйня.
Тихо.
Времени нет.
I'm planting the bomb. Bomb has been planted. Throwing fire.
Если б я в этого на балконе попал, как я вообще того не убил? Боже, 2 промаха таких печальных, бля. Ты видел, да, как я 2 раза промазал? Как такое вообще возможно?
Go run dropper. Don't buy everything. Go buy MPs and Kalas.
Okay, I drop you Mac 10 and go rush пиздец на. Я тебе Mac 10 скинул. Rush drop, пизда, and go away. Rush drop and go away. Пиздец, вот я не he stupid, ёбаный пиздец. О, $1. Wait, I'm flashing this side and we go, okay?
I go to shit. Oh no.
Окей, го, пердоле. Go, поджим, ёбаные хаты, блядь. Go, пердоле. Скилля, о, clear, double door. О май гад. Как ты зеленый, блядь, чела убить не мог, нахуй? Слева, справа, там везде.
Пиздец.
Блядь, если бы
Я
ты
просто
зеленый
ломал,
убил того
блядь.
типа, мы выиграли раунд. Двое были в даблдуме, блядь. О май гад. Вот я
Надо
не
флеш от
упалил
тебя
ты,
оранжевый.
о пиздец.
Оранжевый, пошли, Б, а флеш от тебя.
Я, короче, не, я пошел ебашить. Да.
Блядь, проебем сейчас.
Окей, go to drop, пердоля, нахуй. Замкни пейдж.
Да не, мне уже надо было флеш, уже не надо. Ты проебал.
Андрей, go. Rush, блядь.
I go rush, сука. Сука, возьми бота, иди сюда, даун, возьми бота. Конченый зеленый бота не может взять. Тупая зеленая шлюха. Вот даже, понимаете, у нас челик даже бота не может взять. Бота, блядь, не может взять.
Play game. Go play next game. Yellow.
User joined your channel.
Hallå. Hallå. Welche Rank bist du nochmal?
Ja, jetzt bin ich wieder LEM, vorher gerade war ich noch Supreme.
Lol. Achso, du bist gerade
Weil ich
drin,
gerade.
oder?
Ja, ich versuche gerade wieder mich einzuspielen. Ich habe ja Wochen nicht gespielt wieder. Aber habe ich meinen Supreme-Rang gerade verloren, leider.
Ich weiß nicht warum, aber mein Aim ist nicht mehr so gut. Also gestern und so, da war es noch gut. Aber jetzt
Ja, ich hatte vorher eine Runde, da war es perfekt. Also wirklich. Jetzt? Nichts. Also. Aber ich spiele jetzt mehr auf so 128 Tick-Servern. Ja, 128 Tick-Server. Einfach sowas zu PvP Pro oder Faceit oder sowas. Ja, am besten, Alter, weil da geht's immer alles rein.
Ja, hast du das?
Ja, hab ich. Let me push. Press paper. Yeah, it's better if you go long and push it alone. Right here. Einer ist auch scheiße. Digga, den gibt's gar nicht mehr zum Verkauf, Alter.
Ich merk so Lags zur Zeit. Also, ich weiß nicht, ob das jetzt an CS liegt oder wenn ich so oder so. Das ist dieses G-Sync. Weißt du, was ich meine?
Ja.
Da gibt's auch eine V-Sync oder so.
Ja, bei mir leckt die Maus und der Monitor.
Am Monitor war halt echt gut am Anfang.
Ja, mein auch, als der gerade rauskam.
Ja, mein habe ich schon seit 2 Jahren.
Ich bin schon länger meinen, ich bin seit 2009 oder so. Aber den gibt's schon zur Klassenveröffentlichung nicht gekauft.
Mein hat halt 80 Hertz oder so. Das
We're gonna push paper again. Alter, diese ganzen Nate, Alter, die werfen sich so perfekt die Gegner. Why you dead? Die werfen das alles so perfekt.
weiß nicht, ich kann mich irgendwie richtig einspielen.
Nein. Außer dass die Gegner Hurensöhne sind. I already push long, okay.
Uneven ground, das waren. Dann sind die alle.
Ich verstehe jetzt niemand, Alter, bei meinen Crosse. Im Kopf drauf macht Headshot, man geht auf den Kopf und trifft keiner Shot, Alter. Das ist Punkt. Ja, siehst du, Alter, schon wieder nicht. Oh, Schatz. Push with back 10. Auf Cross, ne, Alter. Das ist doch manchmal so lächerlich mit den Gegnern. Die Waterketten, Alter.
Schieß dahin und ich bekomme ein CZ.
Okay, yeah, I will push. Also.
Sensis für irgendwie.
So bitte. He's dead. Don't rush, don't rush. Yeah. Maybe going long.
Ach, ich find's jetzt auch jetzt.
Rush. I'm down a push. They are taking the upstage. No, it's gone, it's gone. No. Oh, come on. What the grind? Der sagt, er will kommen, Junge, Alter. Oh, Stusch. Oh, jedenfalls die Kloster wechseln, Alter. Sein. How can they can't push you guys? You must watch. Digga, er rastet aus, Alter. Of course, Alter, der Typ hat doch so ein scheiß Vorleg, Alter. Der Typ fährt mich weg. This guy's low, 8 HP.
Ist doch logisch, Alter. Das ist ein Scheiß.
Warum gibt's denn eigentlich kein Matchmaking mehr? Nein. Gleich, 14:6 für sie. Kohle, alle weg, Max, der ist auch noch low. Er schafft es nicht, die letzte zu holen, weil er mit einer Price Pack. Was für ein Latten. Manchmal ist die geil. Alter, diese. Alter. Die Run for Digga. Geil, lang ist geil. Oh, der war nicht so kommt. Das ist so ein Fall gegangen. Digga. 6, eine Runde noch gewonnen.
Ich bin so oft auf dem Kopf drauf, ob es geht.
One push? Yeah, I will push for you. Okay, I will push. Als ob er es wüsste. Ja, ey, ist ein Idiot, ne. Mein Gott. Ey, was ist jetzt das? Alter, was ist das Neues? Face it major.
Es fährt.
Warte, ja.
Ja, ich komm. Warte.
Aber ich mach noch ganz kurz Crosser wechseln.
Zero locks in now, especially with DreamHack just previously. Anything that we thought was a guarantee has been taken away from us as well. This is wide open.
Es gibt neue Kisten. Neue Skins.
Schon wieder?
Ja.
Auf die was Neues raus, ist ja nicht normal.
Hey, warte mal. Ich denke, in einer Minute startet das Major. Vielleicht ist ein Spiel. Warte kurz.
Ist es schon Major?
Das startet in
Major schon mal.
Das startet erst in einer Minute. Die reden noch. Vielleicht. Ich denke, jetzt kommt sofort ein Spiel in einer Minute. Darum. Ich will bei jedem Spiel dabei sein. Ich will schon Cases gedroppt bekommen.
So, das bekommt man Case gedroppt oder was?
Ja, diese Cobblestone Case und so. Wenn du bei Cobblestone Map zuguckst und du eine Cobblestone Case dann bekommst, die kannst du so easy für 70
I was told to,
verkaufen,
and then I was like, Chad, can you do it?
weil es gibt neue,
There is a new
neue Skins in der Cobblestone Case.
And it is called the Swiss
Siehst du
Buchholz.
die? Hier unter dem Livestream steht doch Face 2018. Nee. Nee, da war was. Ja doch. Wenn du drauf drückst, dann sind da neue Waffenskins. Die sind echt geil. Ne? MP7 Fate gibt's auch.
Voll damit.
Depends on who you've played and how they've fared, and that's how you get seeded up against certain opponents. The best part of all this is as you make it to round 5, it's best of 3s. One of the biggest criticisms of Swiss was being best of 1s, is a team could only practice 3 maps, come in here and make it into the next stage of the major. Here, if you're on one of those teams on the cusp, you have to actually have a deep map pool, you have to be able to play best of 3 Counter-Strike, and that all will be going down on the last day.
Right, so basically to kind of summarize, it's each team is seeded according to the results of their previous opponents, and it's much more seen as a fair and balanced system.
Pick a team that will
you're not going to have a team
will be eliminated without winning.
Can you think of any names?
Game mechanics and
Ja,
those
trotzdem, dass du das
That's never
selber
happened before.
bestimmen
So
kannst.
I don't know why we would think that would happen.
No, but that is something that can be avoided.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. That's the sole purpose of this format, is to make the best teams go through, right? So that's what we're looking for. We had some formats we tried out in previous majors, but I feel this one is a great one. We make sure that the last game is a best of 3, in fact, and then make sure that you need a deep map pool. You need to be prepared, and hopefully it secures that the best team will go through.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, we want to bring up the games as well, so you can understand exactly what's happening when. Our first day, we have 4 days of these best of 1s, and then a best of 3 final day as we battle to find the top 8 of this 16-team. I was going to say a bracket. We'll run with it. Still, this is what's coming up today. You have the likes of Space Soldiers versus Rogue, VP versus NIP, Gambit, Tyloo, Big Renegades. That could be interesting. Vega and Spirit as the CIS squads clash. And we get to see North versus Hellraisers, Team Liquid versus Optic. Interesting one there. And Astralis Complexity to round out the day.
Yeah, I think Team Liquid versus Optic is potentially that, and the North Hellraisers game are the best 2 on paper for the entire day. There are some caveats, but we'll get them out of the way as we go through the matchups. It's just difficult to, like, there's such a disparity here between the teams that we know who can be top dogs and the ones that we haven't seen since the last major. And that's the thing, it's so difficult to keep your pulse on the CIS region with a lot of the movements going on there, what type of tournaments the Vega Squadron and Spirits of the world are playing. So here we get to see that hard work that they've hopefully been putting in come to fruition. Yeah,
and I mean, with this format as well, there are some teams here that are going to have to work harder. Like there are, you know, the Curveballs, the Quantum Bellator Fires, the Team Spirit now, these rosters are going to have to genuinely, they can't choose their way. And this is not an assault, this is not being rude. It's, you're going to have to win fair and square, Jacob, with this new format, right? As in, what's your expectations with the new format?
I mean, it should secure that the better team and the more well-rounded teams will go through, and I think that's the main focus to have right here. That, as you said, you know, a team can't just practice 1 or 2 maps and be really good on those maps and come in as sort of like a pocket pick for that and go through. Now you need to be well-rounded, you need to have a deep map pool, you need to be the better team basically to go through, and I think that's the main focus to take away from this.
Best of 1s, best of 3s, and then even best of 5s are all different disciplines in Counter-Strike. Sure, it seems simple, the game is 5v5, you want to blow the other team's head off, that's kind of the way that the rounds end, but realistically, when you're talking high level, there's so many other factors that come into play, and when you have the best of 1, exactly like what Jacob said, it seems like you could just, you know, grind out 1 or 2 maps, but here, with this whole situation, the mind...
Um 11 Uhr bei uns, dann 12:30 Uhr wieder. 1,5 Stunden Zeit, das würde ich vielleicht schaffen, wieder da zu sein. Das nächste 14 Uhr, dann 15:30 Uhr, 17 Uhr, 17:30 Uhr.
Oh. Gameplay highlights, okay.
Anymore. And look, we need to get this out of the way very early. Space Soldiers are a team who have had visa issues, and once again, they have another one. Engine will not be able to make it to this event. The coach Hardstyle will have to be standing in, but that doesn't remove the point that Calix and Zentares are 2 very hot prospects. You have to think back to, I think it was ESL1 Belo Horizonte was the last time that these guys played an offline event. That was 81 days ago.
Jesus.
We haven't seen anything from these guys other than some online qualifiers where they've fallen flat. There was the DreamHack Stockholm qualifier that they didn't make, and the IEM Chicago one they also didn't qualify for. And these guys were a hot prospect when we kicked off the start of the year, coming out of the E-League major, coming you know, into that run of events they just had drama after drama, and from there it seems like everything's unraveled.
And I think that's the scary part. You said it yourself. The online parts, they haven't looked good. good, right? This team is a team that felt very comfortable playing all these online qualifiers. It was the bread and butter basically to qualify for tournaments through the online stages, but they've fallen flat. So now they have to play with a coach. They have to play in a tournament that is bigger than they ever tried, and they're playing, you know, with not the most confidence right now. So it is a team that is currently not feeling as good as they were just 3 months ago.
And heartbreaking that they can't field their 5-man roster. Visa issues has put Engin, or Engin, however you want to call him, out of the running, and unfortunately this does seem to be an all too familiar tale. Most teams manage to get them their 5 here. Unfortunately for Space Soldiers though, at the biggest tournament, or one of the biggest tournaments of the year, they're unable to field their full 5.
Yeah, and that is why we kind of just have to look at these guys and say whatever damage they can possibly do is a plus.
Yeah.
When you're playing with a coach that hasn't played a competitive match, and I think he was like he's a 4 rank or whatever in Face It, that's not great. We're dealing with the top tier of Counter-Strike where everybody grinds. Blood,
What level
sweat,
are you,
tears.
Alex?
On Face It?
Yeah.
Level 7.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I'm
can
on
beat
my
that.
way.
That kind of puts
Oh
it
wait, hang
into-
on a second. He's level 4.
He's level 4.
He may just not play. Or maybe I should go and grab my mouse and keyboard from upstairs.
I know you know, you should take that with a pinch of
Yes.
salt in a way, but you know, with these coaches and the rules, when you come into this, your coach is actually a 6-man as well. So it must be nice for a team like Astralis to have Zonic, one of like the greatest players in Counter-Strike history, to be on your team to go, hey buddy, you want to plug in the mouse and keyboard because Dupree's sick, or...
But using that example, even then, when he did stand in, he did look a little lost, but he couldn't keep up because you're not playing Counter-Strike every day. You're not playing against tier 1 teams every day, and this poor guy, Hardstar's got a lot of... I was about to say a lot of pressure. Take that back.
There's no pressure.
There's no pressure
No.
at all, but there will be judgment. There will be people watching him, and especially Space Soldiers fans, just hoping to see him pull across the line. Now, they have to go up against Rogue here, and I want to go ahead and bring up those Rogue players, because these boys are an interesting enigma in the world of Counter-Strike. Word on the street is they've been picking up pace lately.
Well, this is where, you know, we look for the silver lining in this matchup. This can be the test to see where Rogue are actually at as a unit. Sure, Space Soldiers are a man down, but we want to see how hard that, you know, I guess practice is coming into this event. If the players are on form, we're going to be able to tell that regardless of, you know, the opponent they have. So the fact that Hardstyle is standing in doesn't mean Rogue shouldn't put their best foot forward. Now, it is a bit of a mixed roster here. We've obviously got Ricky from Australia, AWP player who used to play for Renegades, Immunity, etc. And Cadian, one of your good friends, Jacob.
Yeah, it's been a while since we last saw these guys at the major. I mean, Hiko has been here, obviously a legend of the game, and he's been playing very well at certain majors, but it's been a while. Same goes for Cadian. He was very good in the beginning of CSGO, but have kind of fallen out of the top scene. So it's a mixed bag of players with a little bit of rejects here and there, but they found together, and they're actually playing quite nice Counter-Strike. Let's not forget, this was one of the teams that made sure that NRG is not at this tournament, which is one of the best teams in the world right now. So they can play Counter-Strike up to a high level.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what they are capable of. Ricky looks like he's seeing the 1,000-yard stare right there as he's preparing himself for Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And Cadian, he stole a dress shirt from me at my first Counter-Strike major, you know that?
Oh, really?
I lent him a shirt. I said, yeah, man, sorry, you can borrow this one. Never gave it back.
Oh.
So I've got a bit of a grudge. So we'll see if he plays well, I'll ask for 20 quid from the prize pool.
We'll find him and we'll figure it out, Alex.
Yeah, I think he's about 5 meters in front of us, so maybe I'll go and just give him some strong words. But either way, I have to say that I'm very actually excited to see, because I don't get to watch all the qualification games, you know. But this is an opportunity for me to see, first of all, Cadian on that AWP, an exciting prospect. I remember he had a couple of like blast-off performances when he was standing in, and that kind of that started the conversation again.
He's always been this like kind of stand-in type of guy, where he was good enough to stand in for TSM when he needed one. He was good enough to stand in for Heroic when they needed a player, but to play on the team itself and be a known quantity, he was never really good enough or seen good enough. I think he proved now, moving to Rogue, moving to the NA scene, basically, that he's worth his while. Right? He's playing great Counter-Strike, and he was the top performer at the NA major.
Sure.
Oh,
These guys came second.
Nee,
and
überhaupt
they
nicht.
lost to
Die sind nichts Neues draußen.
final round, but, you know, once you've qualified, you've
Ist
qualified.
überhaupt nichts Neues, warum sollte ich noch
That's why we
spielen?
have the Swiss system, kind of get filtered down.
Warte
and you
bis das
play
Game
who you play,
rauskommt
but
und irgendwas Neues
I
kommt.
think the reject title for this team is fair in a way, right? Because Hiko obviously used to be on Liquid, he used to be in the top teams in North America, and now he's back here in the Doldrums. Ricky was on Renegades, and he got the boot from that squad as well. And the same thing for Cadian, never really being able to find a home. So the fact that these guys have been able to come together, that we can't forget Vice and Sick. We haven't even mentioned them yet.
No.
Now playing back with, say, like Whitmer and those kind of guys a couple of years ago. So these guys have come a long way in a short period of time, and I think that this is a good warm-up match. That's what I'm saying about this game for Rogue. It's a good way to kind of find your feet at the major, get the nerves out of the way, and not a free win by any means, but it should be a victory for these guys.
I don't know where the music went. I was enjoying that. It felt like a GTA wait screen, you know, loading screen. Anyway, let's boogie over and start talking about map stats, because it is a best of one, and so we want to understand.
You know me, Alex, with the best of ones.
I know, middle ground map, all of that good stuff, but we're going to take a look at Space Soldiers' results in the last 3 months, and we'll kind of try and get our head around where they would dream to take it. Of course, typically Chad would say, in fact, I'll say it for him, both teams will remove each other's strengths, and we'll end up on a middle ground, and therefore we'll just find ourselves in a bit of a pickle. Let's have a look, though. So at the moment, some of their most biggest successes have been coming from the likes of Cash, Dust 2. Wait, this is really not helpful.
But here's the situation. Because, like I mentioned, it's been 81 days since these guys have even played an offline match, and we had the player break, and there hasn't been any online tournaments. There haven't been a lot of matches for these squads to be playing in. So the last 3 months stat is very skewed in a way. I think the best thing to potentially talk about here, because it's not that it doesn't matter where we end up. Of course it matters which map we end up on, but when you're banning down to one map, we can talk through the ban phase. Maybe that's more of an interesting thing for people at home. In the best of one, Team A goes ban, Team B, 3 bans in a row, and then Team A gets to choose between the last 2 maps, giving Team B the side choice.
Which is a very unique way of doing it. You don't do that in any other tournaments than Develop Makers.
Yeah, and I mean, how does that make you feel, Jacob?
Somewhat not good. I feel like it's easier when you have one team bans a map, the other team bans a map, one team bans a map, and the other team bans a map. This time you have to be very careful with what you ban, because you don't want to be the team that bans 2 maps where one of the other teams would potentially ban one of those.
I see what you're saying.
So you have to be super smart about how you do it and in what order you do it.
I disagree with Jacob in a way, in the sense of I quite like it because it puts more pressure on the veto stage, and as an in-game leader or an ex-in-game leader, I like that nerdy side. This is the mind games. I always want there to be an element of mind games in the veto.
Even in a best of one.
Even in a best of one, because this is the chance for you to win the veto. Normally in a best of one, with my whole little diatribe about ending in a middle ground map and, you know, feeling quite drained about saying it for the 700th time, that changes a little bit here, not enough to make it super interesting, but then you have the other factors of the best of one that we need to touch on for people. In a best of one, if you win both pistol rounds and you win a couple of lucky clutches, that's the game. That is the game right there. That is why in best of 3 formats, best of ones get unfairly branded with the title of random. It's not random, it's just you get punished for mistakes more. If you're not prepared enough, if you get caught off guard, if you're not hot from the get-go, that's where the punish comes in. That's why people say random. What they should say is less chance for mistakes and potentially a little bit more chaotic.
It's just super clinical to play a best of one. Like, as you said, if you make a few mistakes, if you make a few bad calls, or you lose a clutch you should have won, the game could be over already there, right? So you have to be on point, you have to be warmed up, and you have to be clinical. You have to beat your opponents while the chance is there, and if you don't do that, the chance may go away.
So margin for error is almost completely null. Like
it should be.
Yeah, and as it should be. I mean, this is cutthroat. It is with a Swiss format, of course, Swiss with a twist here at the major. But what has to be said is that for Space Soldiers, the margin for error is going to be so tight for them. Like you have to almost hope and pray that Zentaris and Calyx are playing like madmen if you want to try and win a best of one.
Their margin for they're currently living in the margin of error. Right. They need to have players who pull off these rounds where every time Zentaris or Calyx have a chance to get a kill, it needs to be 2. It can't just be the 1. It needs to be 2.
Joined your channel.
They have to do so much more work in this regard. And when you think about it, Engine was statistically the weakest player on this squad anyway, right? So that Hardstyle's stepping into those shoes, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, you know, he's replacing the worst player. But it's not that. It's the, you know, the sense of what he brings to the team in terms of understanding the strategies, in terms of actually playing Counter-Strike.
I don't want to do it, but imagine it's the case as to where am I playing at the start of a round.
Yes.
He's the coach, I admit. He should know where Engine's going to be playing.
Hoffe ich auch.
If you're having to kind of, if there's,
getippt, dass die
you know, there are
0-3 verlieren.
intricacies within a game, within the communications of, you watch this and I need you to flash this maybe if I need it. Those extra layers that just come from playing a lot, maybe additional reminders may be needed.
One thing is being comfortable, being the coach, and actually knowing what your team is doing. You're having to put yourself in the position where you have to be the player doing it, with the right timing, doing it as clinical as you said that's needed to be. It's just a completely different ball game. I do think he's gonna have a very tough time, you know, to fill in the role despite him being the coach. But if you want to look positive at it, it is the fact that he is that coach. So he should be knowing the strategy. He should be knowing, you know, what's smart to call. He can still be that second in-game leader and the help to the in-game leader in major. So there's still some positives to take away from this. You also said it. He is the worst statistical player Engine. So it's not like you lose tracking power in that sense. You don't lose a Zentaris, which would mean that this game wouldn't even be fun. There's still potential for Space Soldiers, but it's just, as you said, Alex, so rightfully, it's just margin for error. It's just not really there for them.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be fixing a couple of issues over with the player setup, so we have plenty of time to talk about Rogue versus Space Soldiers.
We love talking.
I'm trying to think of some other little, like, because I like to look at the rule books. I like to make sure that I've got like everything.
Kenn den gar nicht.
When we come into these kind of events. So I'm trying to think of anything that stands out maybe from what people may be used to, We're still rocking the MR310K overtime
Okay.
as far as I'm aware.
Santara sagt mir
So
gerade echt
if
gar
we do
nichts.
make it to that stage,
I mean, we talked about the veto stage. I do believe that the team that bans 3 maps, which is
they pick the side.
picks the side, yeah.
Yes, and that can be hugely influential in a map like Train or Nuke or something like that, where the team
Which is
decides.
also you stay away from those maps in the best of one.
Yes.
Yeah, which is such a shame. I think that this is a conversation worth having, that some of the most entertaining maps of Counter-Strike you don't really get in a best of one. Like, I really enjoy a Train. I really enjoy a Train. A close Train is like...
Weißt du jetzt, wer spielt als erstes?
I really like the nukes when you have two good nuke teams, but
Ja.
we're still never going to pick
Ja.
a
Space Soldiers
sure.
gegen-
We're both good at nukes, but you're starting on the CT
Gegen
side.
Wer
mich.
spielt?
So we don't get to see them. And is there ever been a
Gegen
solution
mich.
formatted where we could...
Ja, ich habe getippt, dass Space
potentially
Soldiers
see Mirage
weiterkommen und
Inferno
Rouge
for the entire
nur
rest of
treffen
the
ihn
stage?
zu hoffen.
Terrible.
Viel Spaß.
That's how we
Nee,
did
Rouge
kick off
gewinnt.
the majors. You remember, Jacob, when we
Yeah, I was
used to
just
have
about
like
to say,
3 maps left and it was the random map pick?
that's
Because when you were a
right.
player,
Nee,
we
Rouge
hated it,
gewinnt.
right?
Oh,
But
it's so bad.
I'm finding myself on the other side right now. I think
Ja, da muss Space Soldiers noch ein
Oh.
Spiel gewinnen, dann sind die
I
als Weiter.
completely forgot about that. That was the last major I hosted.
I was so sad.
With
Yep.
that when we had to go, and it looks like it's going to be...
oh, it's gonna be their best map,
Dust
and we don't have a chance of winning this game. And there you go, out of the water. That's not fun to play Counter-Strike like that. Obviously not when there's so much at stake. You wanna have a
Lol.
But one of the greatest games of Counter-Strike history did come out of that
I
system,
swear,
and
if
I
you're
think
talking
it was
about
ESO
Titan.
1 Cologne, Renegades versus Titan in 2015. It was such a good game.
Was it?
For all the viewers at home, they can like bring it up
You don't
because
have
it
to tell them.
exists. And there was this. It was so good.
Who was top fragging?
I think this player called Sponge. Like it was
okay.
on Mirage.
Yeah.
I don't remember it. You said you watched it.
Yeah, because you talk about it every day of my life.
Was it a good game?
It was actually quite entertaining.
Oh, that's what I thought.
It was quite
Horrible.
entertaining.
You haven't. I bet you haven't seen it.
What's
I
okay?
haven't seen
What's
it.
your equivalent, Jacob? What's your equivalent of his Titan ESL1 Cologne 2015?
I had many.
Oh, come on. Well, we
Can't
can
pick
talk
one.
about the time I beat you at the major qualifier in Katowice and knocked you little Danish boys out of the tournament.
You got something to come back from that, Jacob? What's your?
If it makes him happy, then let him have it.
Oh, okay.
I'll take a victory.
Yeah, you'll take
Yeah,
it. It's a
yeah.
sour victory, isn't it? You don't feel good, do you?
Nah.
No,
Here's another fun fact. This is the 13th major.
which is unlucky for some.
Or, yeah, I suppose. We have MVPs from 10 of the 12 previous majors here in attendance.
You know.
These are the fun facts. I've
So
just got
Chad,
written
I'm
down.
just going to tell you now.
Mm.
Don't waste all the gold.
Okay.
I know you've prepared all this gold,
I have
but
so much
now is not
gold.
the time to waste it.
It's just a book of gold.
I'd love to have a look. Maybe I could have a nugget or two.
I'll give you a couple nuggets later.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So what I'm trying to find is a conversation topic that stays on track of these two teams. But what I'm struggling with here is that Rogue are, to a degree, an unknown entity of rejects, as we've already highlighted, who have got some serious momentum coming into this tournament. We talked about Space Soldiers. They haven't been able to field a stand-in. So they haven't got a stand-in because of Engine and his visa issues, so the coach is standing in. And at that point, you kind of lose almost all of your Space Soldiers conversation topics because it's not the 5-man. And therefore, I feel like we've kind of hit our roof.
I have a cool suggestion.
Please.
Why don't we look at the teams that are here and we kind of categorize them in ones that we think will go through, ones that we think will be on the cusp, and
I
ones
love
that
it.
we don't think.
I don't have any ETA, so like I would love to start that, but I would like to know you've got 10 minutes and then we can do that, as opposed to going
Ghostbusters.
games live, you know?
Or B-Stream update.
Yeah. So you know what?
Wann starten die
I'm
denn,
not getting
Alter?
anything in my ear, so why don't we just have a go?
Let's do it.
Let's just have a go.
Jacob, take it away.
Astralis.
Let's do
is,
S tier.
Warum?
So let's make this S tier.
Okay.
This is
Also
the
nicht
S
mehr
tier.
online.
So like,
Astralis
this is
Liquid.
above tier 1. S tier should be lifting the trophy.
Astralis and
Go.
Liquid.
That's it.
Achso,
That's
ja,
easy.
achso,
From
ja.
this from this 16 teams,
Yeah.
Astralis and Liquid are the two that should be guaranteed. They should 100%
Ja, das gibt's auch
If they
in
don't,
Drück.
Then the whole building's probably caught on fire.
Okay.
Right? That's,
Ja,
that's
da
the
gibt's
level
auch irgendwas
of,
gedroppt.
I guess poor performance would be
So
expected.
tier 1.
Ja,
Not
eben.
only should they qualify for the major stages itself, I think it's two of the teams that could potentially go and win the entire
I
title.
got Liquid winning the whole thing.
Me too. So I think it's two teams that you need to look out for, and it's gonna tell us, a great story about how
Yeah.
prepared they actually are coming into the major, because
Yeah.
they're gonna go through. They're gonna beat
Wegen der Dragon Lord, oder was?
both of them if possible, and then we're gonna see how
Was gibt's denn
well
überhaupt
they
drinnen?
against the good teams
I have a
later on.
follow-up question.
Und ich denke, dann
Where's
ist sie noch
North in that
wertvoller.
conversation?
They're in the next tier of
Tier
teams. So I would
Für mich war die
North
Dragon Lord immer die
and
wertvollste. Auf einmal gibt's jetzt hier,
probably
wie heißt das, Karen Bridge,
Raiders
Smaragd oder so, oder
next
irgendwie sowas.
tier. So that at that point, in my mind, we've have 5 teams
Emerald.
qualified.
Ja,
Right,
das
and
gleiche.
then we have the let me go through the rest of the names for you so you can kind of see where we feel. We've got Optic Big, Gambit, Renegades, Tyloo, Virtus Pro, Vega Squadron, Spirit.
Ja, was machst du mit deinem
Mexico,
Maßstab,
Space
Alter?
I have something to say.
Okay.
I think
Keine
this should
Ahnung.
be in an NIP category.
Okay, would you like to
Ich mag
justify that?
drumherum
Yes,
zu spielen.
absolutely. They're a team that, though people will just disregard their Cologne run as something
Nee, ich hab's probiert mit dem anderen Schlüssel da, weil ich habe das Schloss ja zweimal. Ich hab's mit dem anderen Schlüsselbund probiert, aber das geht irgendwie nicht. Deswegen brauche ich jetzt doch die Schlüssel von Dom.
Warum nicht einfach aufbrechen?
Keine Ahnung.
Er weiß nicht, wie das geht.
Könnte ich ihn mal fragen, ob er es mir schickt, diesen
I definitely agree with you. I think big, like they're known
Lol.
for coming into tournaments like the well prepared. They haven't played an offline.
War nicht mal 2 Wochen her.
Since Cologne. That was the last time we saw them offline.
They've been grinding.
Nur ein Jahr.
They've been trying to stay away from as many online leagues, as many online games as possible. No pro league, no nothing.
Gestern.
Basically just been practicing.
Ja, nach der LAN-Party.
Sleeping on,
Yeah.
basically. You don't get to practice enough. They complain about traveling.
Vor 2 Wochen.
Letzte Woche irgendwann.
Why don't just skip those tournaments and practice?
Smooya just woke up at 8 a.m.
Can we change the ranking system then?
Oh, well, you don't like
Strauss and Liquid there.
Yeah, that's S tier.
Yeah, then can we put North on their own?
Tier 1 just north.
Yeah, and then
Tier
can
2.
we put,
I'm on board. I like that.
and then can we put NIP, Hellraisers and Big?
Lol,
Yes, that
ich bin
feels
Leveling
better
was.
to me at least.
Okay.
Jacob, you agree?
Yeah, Optic.
See, no,
Ooh.
even though I'm putting North as tier 1, they're still, I would put them as team most likely to choke.
Yeah, right.
Es beginnt!
North.
Yeah.
Nein.
Do you okay, I mean, you know what? I'd run with that. I could see
I
like
don't
a.
mean any disrespect.
no.
I just think that, you know, like when the moment makes
Dark
it better,
Ine.
right? Like I think that's a possibility.
But I would also put Optic in the similar
Ja,
category.
du bist ein Terrorist.
Optic are a cusp
So
team
fast.
for me. On the cusp, I would have Renegades. I would have Big,
Fast.
but you took Big away from me. I have Renegades. I would have Tyloo. I would have Gambit, and I would have Optic.
I would feel offended if
Ich Zitaten vergessen wieder.
those teams.
But think
Oh,
about
doch
what
nicht.
they just
Oh,
did at
geil.
the most recent November round. They fell extremely flat, right? They didn't look like a
I
squad.
am
So
a level.
They have been more volatile.
Level 3, schade.
Sure.
I don't like to take too much away from the first tournament after a play break. I
Okay,
think there's too
I-
much to be
yeah.
said about it. I think a team like North came in at DreamHack, you know, and they did as well.
Aber
as they
ich
did.
habe 3 Matches
That's well.
gespielt und bin
Well deserved for them.
Level
But now
3,
we're coming into a
deswegen.
stage where all these teams should have been prepared enough.
Level
This is a major.
3.
This is their big goal for the year. They should be.
Ich habe ein
trying
paar
to
Matches
win
so
without
Faceit
them.
schon
That's their
gespielt,
fault.
Leute.
Aber ich habe erst 3
I
gespielt
don't
und
like to
bin
take too
deswegen
much
nur
away
Level
from that. I
3.
think Optic still have a decent chance of going through, and I would be highly disappointed if they would struggle against teams like Renegades or Gambit for that matter.
I mean, Gambit are an intriguing question, and actually, I'd love to run with it because Gambit for me are a team that I truly have almost entirely forgotten about. Like, this is a roster that did look so good. I was getting hyped about Hobbit. Zeus was pulling all the strings. Adren was getting 30 bombs and deagling everyone. That was exciting. And then they've just, it feels like a speedy decline.
Okay.
You
I
go,
agree.
hey guys, I've got an upgrade. Hell, no Zeus, I've got a blade. He's hype as hell. And then I still don't know anything
I was
about them.
reading. I often scroll Reddit and just look at headlines because I just like clickbait.
Yeah.
So
Das hab
the
ich
clickbait
gehört.
that I saw that tickled my fancy regarding this roster was that Blade said communication is the biggest issue.
Communication.
Yeah, that's what he said. It's obviously just a tagline in that regard, so it's not a lock that is 100% the situation, but that's just what I read. So if you think about that, if communication is an issue for 3 of these guys who were together, 4 of these guys who were together when they won a major, it's like, what's going on?
I would imagine, and of course, we're all just going to be imagining here. It's nothing. We don't have
Yeah.
it. But
Nope.
It's like an Anders theory craft.
yeah, precisely. But I think, you know, it probably worked because Zeus tells them what to do and they did it, as opposed to it being a dialogue, being a democracy. And
It requires so much of a team being able to.
Wo ist es denn? Ach so, London, stimmt.
Nee, das ist in
Ja,
Deutschland,
dann-
Deutschland.
Dann ist eine Stunde Verzögerung.
This is just great communication. So no matter how bad a position they found themselves,
Echt
no matter
jetzt?
how far behind in the game they were, they could always like adapt in the middle of the game because they could reflect throughout the rounds, like what do we need to do, what can we do. Whereas teams like Gambit, whereas teams like I don't even know, like Hellraisers, all the kind of teams, like they're more, they play more on a feeling, you know.
Sure.
11 PM oder was?
as well, like,
Um
the European
23 Uhr?
Counter-Strike is just different from Danish and Scandinavian Counter-Strike in that sense.
more than a feeling.
So we could do because we've outlined a lot of teams in that cusp area, but there's teams that we didn't say. Who do we think is going to go 0 and 3? It's either Spirit or Vega.
Right, so this is where we just get in trouble with someone.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's our job to give opinions.
Yeah, but people on the internet don't understand that. I mean, I personally have got my doubts about Tyloo, even though they're like, I'm a Tyloo fanboy.
See, the fun thing about Tyloo is that they're usually pretty good at beating teams that are just around their level.
Sure.
They're never going to beat a North, they're not going to beat a Astralis or a Liquid, but they always beat the team below them. So I think Tyloo could be one of the surprise package here. I don't expect them to go through, but I think they actually could, just because they're good at teams that are not necessarily better than them.
But there's one rule with Tyloo.
Lol, mein Freund wurde bei Facebook gebannt wegen Cheating.
The majority of these teams can do that, not give
Lol.
If you look at Mirage, then it goes to Inferno, then Acacia's kind of okay, but then after that, where do they go?
Aber, ja, aber nur für 2 Jahre.
Man, I'm gonna go slap someone on the back of the head because that's ludicrous.
It's 5
Von
minutes
2017 bis 2019.
that there is one map you should not be playing against.
Exactly, they
But
just beat Astralis.
I love this conversation and we'll
Hauptsache er hat 60 Matches, ist so immer noch Level 1. Lappen.
So, we're gonna go ahead and take
Ah, jetzt habe ich wieder Lust auf Face It.
Ich hab nur 3 Matches und gerade schon bin Level 3, Alter.
on the right foot. So for now, we're going to go ahead and take 5, grab ourselves a water. You can grab yourself a snack if you fancy, and when we come back, we'll be getting into our...
Lol, es hängt.
Das Go ist. Nein, es hängt nicht, das ist gerade hier so in der Werbung. So scheiße.
Do you know what my job description is? I'm in acquisitions.
Dann ist gerade so eine Werbung von diesem Trailer. Ich glaube, das ist man. Ich hör's halt nur.
I think you know
Ja,
who's
und
on
dann
the
höre ich
ship.
mit über so ein Monster, Junge.
The ultimate predators. Come and get us.
Okay. Digga. Geht's noch?
I've been there since the beginning. Every man, every flag. With knowledge comes power, and power is to be wielded wisely, which is why, as the expert, I bet with Betway for the love of the game.
Für Russen streamen wegen Space Soldier, wegen Roadshow. Goku, wird gesehen. Ich kenn den nicht, aber ich glaube Space Soldier wäre der Beste sein.
Hörst du bei dir auch nichts mehr? Die können auch mal das Mic anmachen.
Wahrscheinlich labern sie gerade so und man hört es aber nicht. Checken es nicht.
Warte. Das ist ja ein bisschen verpixelt, kann es sein?
Nope.
Nope. Ah, das sieht man nicht, Spieler.
Ja, da sieht man.
Es wird in 10 Uhr, 10:22 Uhr und wann beginnt das?
Steht da ja nicht.
Ach, da steht sogar, um 10 Uhr soll es eigentlich beginnen, okay, und das ist 10:22, cool.
Da steht 10 Uhr Beginn.
Ja, und es ist schon 10:22 Uhr.
Ja, ich weiß.
Ja.
Durch.
Nächste Match ist schon um 11:30 Uhr, Digga, das geht sich noch nie aus.
Das Pro nicht mehr orange ist, das ist lila.
What?
Ja.
What the fuck?
Wir haben sie ändern lassen.
Also, das ist ja mega gay.
Ja, das ist doch gay, darum.
Ja, warte, bei den Picks sind die immer noch orange, aber hier oben sind sie lila.
Ja, das müssen sie noch ändern.
Ja, genau das müssen sie noch ändern. Ich glaube, das ist hier ein Anzeigefehler.
Ja.
Das könnte jetzt auch mal
Gesundheit.
Das nächste Game wird krass. 12:30 Uhr wird das Pro mit. Lol.
Ja, die fick ich weg um 2:30 Uhr, Alter.
Wird das Pro gegen Nippen, muss ich gucken, Alter.
Gegen Nippel?
Gambit gegen Teil U. Wer gewinnt denn hier?
Das sind natürlich Teil U, wie immer.
Vegas Squadron gegen Team Spirit.
Astralis.
Ich kenn niemand davon.
Ja, nicht. Ich kenne überhaupt keine Teams, sagen wir so. Ich hab noch nie, sie ist doof. Das will ich sehen. Da kann die mal beginnen, Alter, so ne Spaß. Ach man. Ja.
Mann, das geht nicht.
Nö. Rote Winning. Rote Piri. Ein Pick. Bekommen nur einen Punkt und brauchst 50 Punkte. Ganze Bullshit, Alter. Mann, die sind für so einen Sticker, Alter. Mal einen Bogen hochrutschen, ne? Oh cool, er wird gewinnen. Ich hab alle eure Sticker verkauft.
Die Liste könnten Sie doch einfach in CS zeigen als Bild und nicht hier mit dem Video 10 Minuten.
Warum nicht? Guck mal, der Hintergrund ist so voll schön, so echte Landschaft. Stadion ist gerade. Und dann spätestens ist gleich so Parkplätze wieder.
Ich guck grad lustige Katzenvideos, lol.
Oh, schaust du dir keine lustigen Scheißvideos an?
Da kommt wahrscheinlich dann Dome, lol.
Da war einfach ein Bär, der ist auf den Baum geklettert. Seit wann können Bären klettern?
Ja, schon immer.
Echt?
Die klettern, ja? Warum bringt jetzt darum sollst du, falls du einen Bär begegnest, nie auf den Baum klettern, die klettern dir hinterher.
Oh fuck, oh no.
Einfach stehen bleiben und dich totstellen. Am besten sie dich nur ein, zwei Mal. Digga, ich verstehe nicht. Jeder sagt, man soll nicht wegrennen. Digga, du nimmst einfach so einen Baum, machst so zickzack hinter den Baum und das Viech kommt nicht hinterher, Alter. Weil so ein fettes Viech, was nicht zu den Baum umrennen kann, Alter. Leute sind irgendwie dumm. Ja, wenn so ein fetter Bär. Er sagt einfach Bären oder so kann man nicht weglaufen. Stellt sich einfach hinter so einen dicken Baum und macht ganz so zickzack beim Baum, so ganz im Kreis beim Baum. Der Bär kommt sicher nicht hinterher. Wir sind viel agiler, wenn wir so Runden laufen müssen als so ein fetter Bär wahrscheinlich.
Oh.
Oh mein Gott, oh schön.
Noch nie.
So langsam. Ja, ich ein. Ich hab noch nicht geschlafen. Ich glaube, wir noch ein Match spielen können an der Seite.
Dame ist fett. The fuck? könnte ich mal Musik abspielen lassen, richtig.
Okay.
Das ist so ununterbrochen irgendwie.
Okay.
The fuck?
Ey, Mann, Alter. Boah. Ich geh kurz vor der Tür, vor der Ding weggeklopft wurde.
Jetzt wirklich, ich kann das Game nochmal starten. Ich drück.
No.
Warte mal, ich starte mal das Game neu. Safe hat es schon gestartet, ich sag's dir. Weil ich will sie war. Go Plus. Chief Plus. Go TV oder wie es heißt. Gucken.
Das ist auch über kleiner Go-TV gucken.
Dome ist fett.
Lol.
Kids Club. Lol.
Wahrscheinlich gibt's Technical Problems or some shit.
Ja, Technical Problem.
Wahrscheinlich steckt wieder Dome in der Leitung, lol.
Vega Squadron.
Hey!
Warte mal.
Danke.
Guck mal, ob Rainbow eigentlich installiert hat. Ich denke, installiert ist gerade nicht.
Hä? Was?
Das hat
Lol.
nicht aufgehört.
Ja, wenn du ein Spiel startest, dann pausiert's den Download.
Immer noch nicht begonnen, Alter. Schwachmaten, was machen die denn? Jetzt ist nicht geschissen begonnen. Dann bin ich nicht. Ja, bist du bei? Ah, Digga, ich spiel gleich wieder, ey.
My dick is very big, my dick is big, is big, is very, very big. I saw his dick, is big, is very, very big.
Ach, mach ja. Der macht mal Handy spielen.
Alter, es kommt gerade die ganze Zeit auf Spotify Werbung für Love Island, Alter. Verpisst euch. Aber es heißt doch Sexy Singles, lol. Warum?
Alle sind raus.
Jetzt?
Finn, Sebi.
Sind raus?
Sebi war bestimmt Piep, der hat sich sein Name geändert. Da steht, Piep wurde von Piep degradiert.
Ja?
Hat den Clan verlassen.
Was? Hä? Milch? Ah, okay. Steht in dem Regal nicht noch diese eine Milchtüte da ganz hinten?
Ist noch jemand hier? Hallo. Ich geh auf.
Channel switched. Channel switched. Insufficient permissions. Channel switched. Channel insufficient permissions. Insufficient permissions. Insufficient permissions. Insufficient permissions.
Hallo. Ist noch jemand hier?
DK, Donner Karan Shit, Drift, Skateboard Peak, Kickflip. Sie will, dass wir heute fliegen, ich sag Baby komm mit, ja. Drift, Skateboard Peak, Kickflip. Sie will, dass wir heute Ich bin in meinem Zimmer high, sie killt den Vibe. Die Jahr 2001. Immer wenn sie immer schreibt, weiß ich gleich, dass sie nicht mehr bleibt. Ich bin in meinem Zimmer high, sie killt den Vibe. Die Jahr 2001. Immer wenn sie immer schreibt, weiß ich gleich, dass sie nicht mehr bleibt. Yeah. Baby weiß nicht, wo ich bleib. Oh nein, ich bin hier nicht mehr allein. Oh nein, ja, ich laufe, komm nicht mehr nach draußen. Ja, ich brauche von dem ganzen Pause. Ja, es funkelt, doch mein Herz ist dunkel. Ja, die Rolli ist noch voller Klunker. Ja, es ist Party in der ganzen Stadt. Alle sind heute und für immer wahr. Eine Flasche Schnaps und den Diddy-Bar. Pap, Lacke, Baby, komm und tanz. Und wir tanzen durch die Nacht, Lichter in der Stadt. Ja. Wir drehen Donuts auf einem Parkplatz. Lubaf ist die Macht. Ich bin in meinem Zimmer high, sie killt den Vibe. Dior 2001. Immer wenn sie immer schreibt, weiß ich gleich, dass sie nicht mehr bleibt. Ja. Baby weiß nicht, wo ich bleib. Oh nein, ich bin hier nicht mehr allein. Oh nein, ja, Ice Down. Sie kennt die Town. Lights out, lass bauen. In meinem Haus, alle drauf, alle down. Alle Geister kommen um Mitternacht. Alle trinken, keine Sünder da. Alle Cappies wie beim Überfall. 5000 Euro Schuhe überall. Und wir tanzen durch die Nacht, Lichter in der Stadt. Ja. Wir drehen Donuts auf einem Parkplatz. Lubaf ist die Nacht. Ich bin in meinem Zimmer high, sie killt den Vibe. Dior 2001. Immer wenn sie immer schreibt, weiß ich gleich, dass sie nicht mehr bleibt. Ja. Baby weiß nicht, wo ich bleib. Oh nein, ich bin hier nicht mehr allein. Oh nein, ja. Hört man meine Rolli? Ja, ja, ja. Pack ne Sandy Bitch, Jacke ist von Heavy Riggs. Zigarette an, Lamborghini, Benzer Shit. Alles ist iced out. Ich geh mit den Brüdern raus, ja. Pack ne Sandy Bitch, Jacke ist von Heavy Riggs. Zigarette an, Lamborghini, Benzer Shit. Alles ist iced out. Ich geh mit den Brüdern raus, ja. Hör Gammo von 6ix9ine. Skateboard flip in a Halfpipe, ja. 50 Cent if I, ja. Get rich or die trying, ja. Hold your fire, hold the friendly fire. With the babes up on Flashbang, ja. What are you doing, mate? Hold your fire. Sie warten auf das Tape und zwar heavy, ja. Push start, gib Gas. Alle Brüder sind am Start. Push start, gib Gas, ja. Alle Brüder sind am Start, yeah. Pack ne Sandy Bitch, Jacke ist von Heavy Riggs. Zigarette an, Lamborghini, Benzer Shit. Alles ist iced out. Ich geh mit den Brüdern raus, yeah. Pack ne Sandy Bitch, Jacke ist von Heavy Riggs. Zigarette an, Lamborghini, Benzer Shit. Alles ist iced out. Ich geh mit den Brüdern raus, yeah. Fahre schnell, ich gebe Gas, yeah. Ich liebe das Leben grad.
Nee, den arbeiten der mal wieder. Das ist gerade ein Fehler gehabt. Nein, nein, kein Fehler. Da war Fehler, wir können das nicht machen.
Alle Brüder gehen nach, yeah. Pack ne Sandy Bitch, Jacke ist von Heavy Riggs. Zigarette an, Lamborghini, Benzer Shit. Alles ist iced out. Throwing fire. Ich geh mit. Pack ne Sandy Bitch, Jacke ist von Heavy Riggs. Zigarette an, Lamborghini, Benzer Shit. Alles ist iced out. Ich geh mit den Brüdern raus. Pack ne Sandy Bitch, Jacke ist von Heavy Riggs. Zigarette an, Lamborghini, Benzer Shit. Alles ist iced out. Ich geh mit den Brüdern raus. Pack ne Sandy Bitch, Jacke ist von Heavy Riggs. Zigarette an, Lamborghini, Benzer Shit. Alles ist iced out. Ich geh mit den Brüdern raus, yeah.
Natürlich. Keine Ahnung.
Shorty hat ein Teil im System. Shorty hat ein Teil im System. Shorty ruft mich an. Shorty hat 8210. Sie ist in der Schlange vorm Boiler Room. Sie ist in der Schlange vorm Boiler Room. Sie will Gästeliste rein, ey. Sie will Gästeliste rein, ey. Sie will zu Skepta ins Berg rein. Sie will zu Skepta ins Berg rein. Sie ist so allein, will ein Teil, ey.
Ja, ein bisschen obvious, ne? Also, ja.
Shorty ist so high und sie Liebe überall. Shorty ist so high und sie Liebe überall. No, no. Shorty ist so high und sie Liebe überall. No, no. Shorty baby, hast du gerne ASAP? Shorty baby, hast du gerne ASAP? Und sie färbt die Haare rüber.
Oh, es geht los, oder? Es geht gleich los, ich zeig gerade die Spieler. Weiß nicht, ich zeig gerade halt die Spieler. Das ist was anderes, Junge. Verkackt. Bei mir schon. Irgendwas ist jetzt irgendwie. Oh no,
yeah,
it's
I think it was
short.
Copenhagen. We didn't have the best mate ever, but we were there. We lost to some bad teams, but that's how.
Da hast du ja irgendwas die Spieler gezeigt, wer da gerade spielt.
Yeah. Well, you definitely played with him, and maybe
Jetzt labern sie über die Spiele.
you can give us some extra insight. I mean, has he always been an AWP player?
No, he's always been a player that nowhere like he's a tough player to categorize because we don't know where he was and where he is. He used to be a rifler. He used to be a pretty decent rifler. Then he wanted to become an in-game leader. Then he became an in-game leader. Then he wanted to be an AVP player. And now he's both. Now he's both the in-game leader and the AVP player. So he kind of evolved over time. And as we spoke about in the pre-show as well, he's always been this guy who was jumping around from team to team, being the stand-in, could never really find a home. Had some attitude problems as well. We all Danes had that back in the day. So that was like sort of like normal of growing up basically. But it feels like he finally found a home, and he feels he found a team where it's not about him, it's about making the players that is playing with him to listen to what he actually wants to do with this team. And I think having a Dane on an American team is always going to be a plus.
And saying an American team, we're talking from about a Dane. Now I'd like to talk about an Australian, if you don't mind, Ricky. A player who I've actually always struggled to pinpoint his CLG experiments way back when, to of course playing, was it Immunity, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, and then we got to play on Renegades for a short period of time, but Ricky's always been a fiery character in the sense of when he wants to do something, he wants to do it his way. And that's not necessarily a problem if you are the star of your team. Now, within the realms of Australia, Ricky could carry any team he was a part of, right? He was able to be that top fragger, but there are issues that crop up when you try and get to more of a level of Counter-Strike where it's more structured and everyone has jobs and roles. I always knew that he was a player who could, you know, compete at this level. And
he's done some crazy things.
Exactly, and it's fantastic that he's still playing on an international squad as opposed to being back in the doldrums of Australia and having to, you know, qualify just to go to events and then go back home for another couple of months. He is a caliber of player who should be playing on the big stage.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he is capable of. No word yet on that game. Of course, one of the reasons that we are delayed is that we want to get that veto done. Now, the veto is typically done beforehand. It's typically done backstage with the admins, and then we get the joy of trying to guess how it's going to play out. Now, interestingly enough, the veto is going to be going down in the client. That's the major client.
Yeah, and this adds like a little, I guess, a little tweak to things, because normally what would happen, like you just alluded to, the time from when the veto is done to the start of the game is prep time. Maybe you have 10, 20 minutes to talk over how everything's going to go. In this situation, if you do get blindsided in the veto, you have to just quickly scramble and come up on the fly. So the approach to a game like this, and best of ones in general, is normally you have a game plan that you've been prepping, and you just go in with your game plan. You hope that your game plan works, and you adjust as the game flows on.
There's also another caveat to it. Normally when you do vetoes, you stand face to face with your opponent. So for example, back in the days when you did vetoes against Very Games, I don't know if you tried this, but when you did against Existence, it was like you veto a map and then he goes away for 10 minutes, comes back and says veto Inferno. Then you veto straight away